From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a PrimeWave Media production.
Welcome to Big Wave Boxing, hosted by the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and I got the great one, Philly's own, Stephen Breadman Edwards. How you doing today, brother? How's everything going? Trainer to multiple boxers as well. Also trained Julian J. Rock Williams as well too, who was the former undisputed 154 champion. You guys have recently split. How's you guys? Is everything still cordial with you two?
Um, I wouldn't. I don't see him, so I wouldn't say it's cordial, but we not in the street trying to hurt each other, anything like that.
I got.
He went his way and I went mine, so it's just that.
And I already know you got a good stable of young boxers on the come up as well too. When are we going to see one of your next prospects in the ring?
Oh man, this COVID has really been slowing things up for my guys. Looking like February now, man. I thought I had some stuff December, uh, November and December, but the COVID just screwed up two fights for me.
Okay, okay. So we didn't get the call to come to Dallas this weekend, huh?
No, I had a kid, Karan Davis, that was supposed to fight November 16th. They moved his date from December the 5th to December 16th, and then he tested positive for the COVID. I had another kid, November 28th, that was supposed to fight in Mexico, Romuel Cruz, and he didn't have COVID, but they had something going on with the facility down there, so he couldn't fight. So, this part of the game, you got to just be able to, as the saying goes, you can't cry the blues when you lose, you got to grin when you win. So,
Well,
we just got to just keep pushing.
well, I want to compliment you on something, man. I follow you on Twitter, and I think that you are one of the brightest boxing minds in the game, period, point blank, especially when it comes to breaking down fights because you're not biased at all about it. You don't have a favorite in the fight. You're just going to give it to us how it is, and that's how all the great analysts are. So I'm like, Fox, the zone, all you people call Breadman up so y'all can so we can get some truth set up in here so we don't have to play the whole political game. I just wanted to give you that real quick. But let's jump into this
Appreciate
fight.
that, man.
Oh man, you got it, brother. You already know. So look, let's get into this heavyweight fight. That was a big hype job, somewhat between Daniel Dynamite Dubois and Joe Joyce. What's your thoughts on that one right there? That was a hell of a fight, and it didn't end the way that a lot of people thought it was going to end.
I was very impressed with Joe Joyce, man. Whenever, I pick a fight and I bet on the fight, and then, it's not the outcome that I bet on or picked, it makes me even more impressed because I really thought that Daniel DeBose would win that fight. But Joe Joyce showed that, you know, um, looking better and being better are different. And, he was doing things. He kept it really simple because he's not as gifted as the Bulls. We kept it really simple. He didn't even land a lot of right hands. He would land a little right hand every once in a while, but he just kept jabbing them, feinting them, going to his right. He fought a really, really good fight, man. And I was really, really impressed with Joe Joyce, man. If I ever see that guy, I would tell him I want to give him a lot of props. That was a really, really good technical, smart performance. Even though he's a big lumbering guy, he did a lot of things, man. I mean, really controlled that guy with a hard jab. Then he start like sliding the jab off the side of his eye. It was not illegal. I mean, this is a brutal sport, so you got to do what you got to do. But he was hitting him in his eye with the corner of his glove, man. That was actually smart. It really damaged him. I don't want to see anybody get the eye put out, but part of the game, man. It's a hurt business. And Joe Joyce fought a good fight, man. I was impressed. And the Bulls didn't fight bad. It was the fight was about even before he got stopped. He just has to do a little bit of soul searching, come back, figure out what went wrong. And heavyweight, man, is really simple. If the Bulls learns how to catch a jab better, he probably wins that fight. You know what I mean? That was just his rear hand placement of just catching the jab that helped him win that fight. So he can come back. He may even have more upside than Joyce. It could just be one of those nights. But I think both guys performed well, but I was really impressed with Joe Joyce.
I totally agree. And always in heavyweights, when you lose, it's really not that serious because a guy can always come back from that, become a great fighter. Really, in any division, it's really not that serious. And in heavyweights, it seems like it's a rush to have the better prospects fight each other early so we can see exactly who's going to be really up to task to really be a champion and fight a champion. And I think that's the best way to go. When you see a lot of these other weight classes, they're kind of babying the prospects as they go along. You got to pad them up, give them 20, 25 wins, and then you throw a WBO match at them or a WBA super match at them, and then they got themselves a belt. So, and it's always in a vacant situation as well too. But I like the way that the heavyweights are going about it in like a tournament form. And so if you think you're really, really good and you want these fights and you get that fight, you're gonna have to impress. And Joe Joyce has done nothing but that. And I think that where he won at was the Olympic experience that he has as well too. I always give the edge to guys that were in the Olympics because they have just a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more detailed training into the situation. They've probably put in a little bit more hours as well too, being right there training nothing but boxing, for an 18-hour day when they're going through the Olympic process and everything like that. So that's why I felt like Joyce did somewhat have the advantage going into the fight, but we all knew that Dubois had that power. So the power, it showed up, but still, I felt like the ring generalship was going to always be in Joe Joyce's corner, and that's how he prevailed in my eyes from what I saw in that fight.
I think that he just had a little bit more composure. Now I don't know if it's from the Olympic training, his age or maturity or whatever it is. He just had more composure. Um, during the fight, and he was able to think a little bit more clear. And who wins a fight? People, they make it really, really complicated. But if you're watching a boxing match, the person who wins the fight, a overwhelming majority of the time, is the person who processes the fastest. And Joe Joyce doesn't have the same things in his toolbox that Daniel DeBose did. So he just kept it simple. All he did really was feint, feint, jab, feint, feint, jab, rinse and repeat over and over again. And when you're doing the same thing over and over again, what happens is that when it's time to do something, this is what the great brother Nazem taught me. Sometimes when you're reaching your toolbox, if you're overly talented, you may have a shotgun, a Uzi, or a handgun in there. But when you already know what you're looking for every time you reach in that toolbox, you just go get that shotgun every time. And that's what that fight reminded me of. It just reminded me of Joe Joyce just keeping it simple, using the same jab over and over again. He just made sure his feet was up underneath him. And it was hard for the Bulls to deal with it.
All right. Well, we're moving along. Now we had a fight last week, and it was a little controversial between the veteran Danny Jacobs and journeyman Gabe Rosado. What are your thoughts on that one?
I think that Gabe performed really well. Sometimes the perception of the fight, man, could really like, here if you say you're gonna be a killer, you gotta be a killer when you show up. Because if you're not and you win the fight by 1 or 2 points, people gonna like look at you like, wow, what happened? So Danny Jacobs has a pretty record. I think it's 37-3 or something like that with a lot of knockouts. Gabe has double digit losses. Jacobs is a big favor. People are expecting him to wipe the ring with Gabe, and when he couldn't, then you receive criticism for that. So, I don't mind a fighter talking, but if you talk, you better back it up. And I thought Gabe performed well. I'm not going to say he got robbed because the fight was close. It was a bunch of swing rounds, but the perception of it was that Danny was going to like destroy Gabe, and he didn't. So, it's like, damn, what happened? How come you didn't beat Gabe the way Golovkin did, or the way Lemieux did, or whatever? And you know, um, it's gonna have to be some damage control for Danny. Danny, the next person he fights, he's gonna have to really do his thing, man. He's gonna, right, wrong, or indifferent. These people like to criticize. I'm not criticizing them, but from what I saw pretty much an even fight, you know, and that shouldn't be when the guy is a 10-1 underdog. It shouldn't be an even fight. So we'll see. I thought the Gabe performed really, really well. He made a hell of a case for winning that fight.
Well, yeah, and just Gabe's been around the game so long, and the trash talking that they had going back and forth. I think that was much motivation for a guy like Rosado, and I think he kind of took advantage of the age a little bit as well too. You know what I mean? Danny, well paid after the Canelo fight and everything like that. That hasn't looked didn't look that great against Chavez. It was decent, but Chavez showed up for his paycheck as well too. But this last one, sometimes people just expose things that pretty much have been getting seen and maybe in your previous fights, but then it's really on display because you can only, when you get older, it seems like either you're going to be going up like how our brother B-Hop did, or you're going to just start regressing. And that's what I can kind of see with Danny right now as well, too. No, and no diss to Danny. He's a great fighter as well, too. Great story, the Miracle Man, all that good stuff. But I think that maybe he's probably one more big payday away from probably, wrapping it up. And I think he's probably going to get another big fight. And then, maybe a few more after that. And he'll be probably wrapping it up pretty soon within the next few years, I think.
Well, here's the thing, man. It's not fair to compare a fighter to Bernard Hopkins, right?
Right.
Because nobody can go that long.
Right.
You know what I mean? So most fighters start to drop off in their mid 30s. That's just how it is. Bernard Hopkins is one in a million. So it's not fair to compare anybody to him. Nobody is going to be as good as he was 48, 49, 50 years old. It's just not. You know what I mean? So um, I don't expect Danny to do that. I don't expect Gabe Rosado to do that. But overall, that it feels like a fight that Danny should be able to dominate. But I actually thought that it would go the distance. I didn't think he would be able to stop Gabe. Gabe's a cagey guy. He's been around, man. He knows what he's doing. I've seen him in here in the gyms in Philadelphia for a very long time, and he knows what he's doing.
All right, man. And he's one of my favorites. It's always fun to see Gabe. And he blessed us in Creed as well, too. So that was a pretty good look for him as well. He represented
Yep.
Philly very well in that. All right, so let's talk about the Fab Four real quick. T.O. Devin, Tank, and T.O. Devin, Tank, and Ryan. I feel like I'm just throwing out a new edition or something of the boxing game right now to you, Brad. You know what I mean? Which one? Which one do you feel is the top dog in that group?
I mean, the top dog right now is Teofimo Lopez.
Right, but if you look at the future, who do you
Now,
think is going to be the
now,
one?
who's going to be the top dog? They got to sort it out. Uh, they just got to sort it out, man. Really, I don't want to say who's going to be the top dog because you never know. It's going to come down to matchmaking. It's going to come down to willpower. It's going to come down to who can make the lowest weight the longest. It's going to come down to a lot of things, And also, let me tell you something. Include Shakur Stevens. He might be better than all of them. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So um, it's a lot that goes into that. You know what I mean? I don't know if I would favor any of them to beat that kid. And he's at 130, and Tank's a tweener between 130 and 135. So all of these fights are not out of the question. I I, um I see. I think Teofimo Lopez and Ryan Garcia are the best punchers. I think that Devin Haney and Shakur Stevens. No, let me take that back because Tank can punch too. I'm tripping. Tank probably is the best puncher. Right now, it's close. I don't want to say who I think is the best because I really don't know. I want to see them young men face a little bit more adversity and see how they adapt to different styles. What I will say is that Teofimo Lopez is the most accomplished right now. If everything stopped right now, he's the one that took the chance in fighting a serious fight very early in his career. No showcase fights. He went straight from winning the title to a unification fight. So he showed the most ambition out of the five so far. I'll say that.
How did you score that fight, by the way?
I thought he won. I thought he won. I mean, I don't watch fights with pen and pads. Loma had an outside case for a draw if you was very generous with him. But 7-5 for Lopez is about right. Naked eye watching it, I thought that Loma waited a little bit too long, and then the fight could have been up for grabs in the 12th round, but Teofimo Lopez won that 12th round. So I say that Lopez couldn't have lost. When I watched that fight, I said to myself, it's no way he lost. The worst he could have got is a draw. And I think the best Loma could have got is a draw. So when I'm watching a fight, sometimes if you go back and you start rescoring, what that does is it contaminates your integrity of your scoring. Your initial reaction of who won the fight is your best one because that's what the judges have right then and there. Anybody could go back but in a fight with two really good guys and start making cases for one guy winning around or another guy winning around. I try not to do that. So initially watching the fight, I was at around 7-5 for Lopez.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was one of them generous people that just went ahead and made it a draw. But I did have
Okay.
Tio pretty much winning the first half of the fight, and I thought Loma took over in the second half of the fight. But I do totally agree with you that 12th round was the difference in the fight as well too. If you when you look at it in the 7-5 terms as well.
Well, here's the thing. A fight is judged on 12 individual rounds. And sometimes people like to group think a fight and they say Loma took over the second half of the fight. He did, but that doesn't mean he swept the second half of the fight.
Right.
That doesn't mean you just give him round 7 through 12 because he lost that 12th round. You know what I'm saying? And he probably lost 1 through 6. Maybe he may have squeezed the second out. I will have to look at it again. I thought he may have won the second. But uh it was tight. If you think Loma won the second, then he could have got a draw. But I thought Lopez squeezed another one of those rounds in the second half of the fight. I thought he squeezed one of them out too. But it was a tight fight, man. And everybody keeps saying stuff like, why didn't Loma start faster? And I'm like, he didn't start faster because that kid can punch.
Right.
And
Right.
that kid has a lot of range. You can't just walk up on him, he knock you out. So that's why he didn't start faster, man. You just can't just, he was trying to let some of that power die down a little bit, so it's a good fight though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. If they run it back, cool. But I know the thinking of To, and I think that is kind of a smart way to think if you're going to be moving up and things of that nature. Just we did it. It's over and done with, and you can have 135 for all you want once I get done with this division. So that's how I'm seeing it with those two. So I know that probably won't be a rematch or anything of that nature, but it was a great fight, and as long as they give us one, it's all good. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the weekend real quick. Spence card. First question though. This is a division you know very well, 154. What are your thoughts on Sab Findora, the towering inferno, the 6'7", 154 prospect?
I think he's good. I don't. He might not just be a prospect now. He looks like he's a contender. Um, I think he's good. I've seen him have a tough fight against Jamonte Clark from Cincinnati. But other than that, he's really been doing well. He just stopped the guy Nathaniel Gallimore that nobody had ever stopped before. Um, he's going to be tough to beat. Anytime you 6'6", 6'7", and you a southpaw and you're making that low weight, you're going to be tough to beat. So it's going to take a lot to beat him. But I think he's a good fighter, man, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he matches up with top level guys.
You think that he could get in there, go toe to toe with Charlo?
I don't know. I don't know enough about him. Right now he's kind of a wild card. I really don't know. I don't know what kind of chin he has. I don't know. Charlo punches hard, and when you're that big, it's an advantage and disadvantage. Sometimes you're a big target, and I can see Charlo clipping him. I got to see more of the kid. I'm gonna start paying attention to him a little bit more now, and see what I see. I did think Clark probably outboxed him, but Clark is the only guy in the division that's close to his height and has his length. So everybody else is about 5'10" to 5'11". Clark's about 6'2", and he's a southpaw also. So a lot of his advantages wasn't in place in that fight. But he has seems to be a pretty good puncher. He works on the inside. He seems to be a guy that likes high contact. He don't run from you. So I'm just curious, I'm curious to see how he is with the top level. But I'll tell you what, nobody's gonna really want to fight that kid unless he becomes a mandatory. Like who the hell wants to fight somebody 6'7" and it's a southpaw?
Right.
Even if you're not even that good, nobody feels like dealing with that. How do you find sparring and all kinds of stuff? So he's gonna have to really earn his title shot. Nobody's gonna just give him a title shot. It's not out of fear. It's just about like, why would I want to fight him? And I could fight more accomplished fighters that are normal height and normal weight. Like he's just abnormal for that weight.
Right. And when I spoke to him last year when he got one of his first television debuts, I said, man, so you're gonna take it to 160, light heavyweight, to those weight classes, is this just the beginning for you? And he said, nah, I want to stick around here for a bit, get a belt, and then we'll think about moving up, because he said it's real easy to make the weight here, so why not? And I said, well, hey, it is what it is. And pretty much you got to do it. My man Paul Williams, 147. He's still one of the tallest welterweights I've ever seen. And you know what? Paul used to be so fun to watch as well, too. And you know what? He always brought the action. And so that's the same thing. Even Sam told him that he reminded him of Paul. So hopefully he can duplicate exactly what Paul did as well and give us some great, exciting fights moving forward. So we got a good card here. And I know you know this guy kind of well, Chia Santana going against Josito Lopez. This is the big slugfest journeyman fight. And probably one of these guys might get a chance at a belt, you know what I mean, next time out. So what are your thoughts on this slugfest and who do you have winning this fight?
Man, I do know Santana really well, man. He's a nice kid.
My guy, man.
He got it. He got a draw with Julian in Julian's 7 pro fight. Um, I wonder how much Francisco has left, man. He's been around a long time. He's been fighting tough fights for a long time. It's about an even fight. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a draw. If I had to pick, I would say flip a coin, Josecito Lopez. He's the more recognizable face. Maybe the judges will give him the edge in a really good fight. I think he's probably a little bit better puncher than Francisco. Francisco's took so many tough fights. In his last fight, he had big Jared Hurd hitting on him. That doesn't help. You know what I mean? So he might be a little worn, but both of them are really good, exciting fighters.
All right, and I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna go with the long shot here, man, with Chia there, because I can't wait to really bet this card, because you know how some of these cards they so one sided, but with this I see a lot of fights that you can get some upsets in as well too, especially in the main event. So let's go ahead and jump into that real quick. And I'm telling you right now, I like the way Danny Garcia is coming into this fight. They're very confident. They play the underdog role very, very well. I think it suits them much better as well too. And I'm really liking his chances going into Saturday. It's just something about Errol is just doesn't feel the same. And I know that everybody's asking that question, and we got to really see if he is back to 100%. The recovery has been awesome, but I just really do feel like there's going to be a lot of questions that have to be answered Saturday. And I think Danny is just going to be a bit more prepared for this one just because he's been anticipating this fight for so long. What are your thoughts?
Um, I think that Earl has a fight on his hands. If Earl goes and blows Danny out, he is a great fighter. I mean, like great, great, like next level great. You know what I mean? He because Danny has a way about him where he has a contained style where he don't try to do too much. He's not the most athletic guy. He doesn't have the greatest feet. You know, he has his flaws, but he makes it work for him because he doesn't try to do too much. And I'm curious to see if Earl can take his punches, man. I really am. I really don't even have a pick for this fight because I think that, who knows how Earl Spence is going to look, man. That's a bad accident. The keys to the fight to me is can Earl take his punches? Can Danny neutralize Earl's jab? And can Earl get to Danny's body? Those are the keys to me. I'm expecting a very, very tactical but intense fight. I'm expecting both guys to really, really want to win, both guys to be responsible defensively. And we'll see. You know, it's going to be a really good fight, man. I mean, it's a lot at stake.
Do you feel like it has fight of the year written all over it, or what? Or have we already seen the fight of the year?
Uh 2020 fight of the year. Let me see. Uh it could be, but if only if Danny can hurt Earl. I'm sorry if Earl could hurt Danny. Because if Earl could hurt Danny, he gonna try to bulldoze him, right? But see, as much as I like Danny, I think Earl got more ways to win the fight. Earl is got the long southpaw jab. And you kind of make the fight boring and just use his jab. It'll piss everybody off, but he'll get the win. You know what I'm saying? So I think that Earl can make the fight boring. But if Earl comes in this dog mode the way he did with Lamont Peterson and Chris Algieri, and he hurts Danny and steps to him, Danny's not a punk. Danny's going to bear down and fight back, and then we'll see a great fight. So I think that's kind of like predicated on if Earl feels Danny can hurt him, if Earl can hurt Danny. If Earl can hurt Danny, like he smell that he could kind of walk through Danny, I think we'll see a great fight. You know what I mean? If Earl feels like Danny can hurt him and he could just play it safe like he did with Mikey Garcia, which it wasn't an exciting fight, but it was a dominant, impressive performance. So when I go into a fight, I always think about how many ways a guy can win. So, I haven't ruled out the fact what Earl did versus Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia might be a small guy, but he can punch. So what Earl did, Earl didn't even give him a chance to get nothing off. He just used a good jab and a quick step back move, and Mikey couldn't do nothing. So, I would not be surprised if Earl resorted to that and just won the fight. Might make people mad, but that's what he might do.
Hey, and you know what? I remember being at that fight, talking to Derrick James after the fight, and he said, "Man, we just kept it simple. Just put the jab in his face all night. We used one of our more simple plans that we've ever used in a boxing match." And I said, "Well, it was a damn good showing on your side when I saw it. I thought it was a great performance that Arrow had, and I think that he came onto the scene for and made himself a pay-per-view star, even though it wasn't a knockout and everything like that. But still, he's a very sellable guy because a lot of people get excited about when they hear the name Errol Spence, and it's been going on for about 8 years. I remember when they first brought him to my attention, Floyd was still in the game, the man, all that good stuff. But they say you got to watch out for Errol Spence, and this is top Broner days and Thurman. All these guys were around as the top prospects and all that good stuff, contenders. And then they were still they were talking about young Errol. So Pretty much, I think that this is his defining moment. This is going to be his toughest fight ever. And if he gets over this in flying colors, my next thoughts for him is like this: are you going to take on Bud or are you going to take on Canelo? Think about that. I know everybody is thinking like, well, he's gonna have to jump to 160. Well, he has the height and he has the length to fight at 160, and he has the power as well too. So why not? And you know that Canelo doesn't have the greatest footwork either. So pretty much, and it's a monster payday as well too. So what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I mean, I saw Mikey Garcia do the same thing. Instead of fighting Loma at 135, he fought Earl Spence at 147. Um, so obviously Earl could get the fight in Texas with the big Mexican population down there. Canelo's fought in Texas before, and Earl's from Texas. Crawford is the fight that you want to see from a purist standpoint, and then move up and fight Canelo. But boxing doesn't work that way. So I don't know, but I don't even want to think about that because he got to get past Danny Garcia Saturday night.
Right, right,
And
right.
Danny, Danny got a way about him where he comes through in these moments.
Right. Well, I'm just doing whatever, I'm just forecasting like everybody wants to do. But I truly do feel if Danny wins this fight, then he gets to come back. He gets to be the kingpin at 147. But I wouldn't, we and Angel talked about it last summer. I wouldn't see him sticking around too long at 147 because there's a good bout at 154 with Charlo with the undisputed. I know they got to get Charlo a name as well, too, a big name for that division because that's a hotbed division, but they still don't have guys in that division that are uber names in the game. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking maybe if he was to win the fight, that could be a possibility for him coming up next. And they are stablemates as well too down there in Dallas. So it would make a lot of sense, I think. You know what I mean? Moving up from 147, 154 to undisputed fight.
Maybe, but if I put my matchmaker's hat on, I think if Danny wins this fight, he'll fight Manny Pacquiao.
Ooh.
Charlo fight's not big as Manny Pacquiao. And I think that Pacquiao is at a stage in his career where he's picking and choosing, and he doesn't want anybody that's overly athletic and big. And I think that Danny Garcia is the kind of fighter that he would pick. I think that Freddie Roach loves that fight. And I think that if Danny Garcia had a choice between Crawford Spence, Manny Pacquiao had a choice between Crawford Spence and Garcia, he would pick Garcia. And if Garcia wins that fight, I think he will go in that direction before he would mess around with Charlo.
All right, man. Hey, you hit me. You hit me with some science right now because that totally slipped my mind, man. And then also you can also think of that possible Mikey fight that they was trying to make as well too last year because they were trying to make a Mikey Danny fight at Staples Center, but it kind of fell apart. It was did they make the call or was the call just some make believe stuff that you throw out on the internet? So pretty much they didn't come to fruition, but all in all, though, this fight it's a good fight. I feel like both boxers they really aren't going to lose anything. Their legacies are going to be even greater to me because they took each other on, and then you move on from there. And I feel like their past, nobody's going to be like, "Oh, you're done after this." I think they both still have big fights ahead of them after this as well, too.
Depends on how they lose. Let's see. You know what I mean? A lot depends on that, man. Somebody gets knocked out cold on the canvas shaking. You know what I mean? Who knows? If Danny knocks Earl out, then people are gonna start talking about the accident having an effect on him. So we gotta see, man. You gotta see everything. And sometimes, we push the carrot before the horse. So
Right.
I want to see how everything works out, how they lose. Danny is always lost in a way where he never embarrassed himself. So you got to just see, this fight can have many different scenarios. So I got to see how both guys look, and then we could talk about who lost something, because not every fight is a no lose situation. You don't want to go out there and get dominated and get brutalized, So
Right,
let's see.
right, right. I totally agree. Now, quick thoughts, man. What are your thoughts on the fight that's probably going to be the last great fight of the year? Well, that features one of the big stars, pound for pound. What are you thinking of that Canelo Callum Smith fight?
I think, you know what? I think that fight may be a little more exciting than Spence versus Garcia because I can see Callum Smith you know, he's going to be better than he was against John Ryder. People got to realize that, you raise your game up, your sense of awareness, your alertness, everything goes up when you fight certain people. So he's going to be better. And Canelo was just brutal on bigger guys because they really not. It's weird. I think Canelo fights bigger guys better than he fights smaller guys because he has so many speed advantages and they don't have the reaction time to get ready for his shots, where the smaller guys can kind of exploit his lack of fast feet. So I think this is going to be a great fight. I think Canelo probably knows a little bit too much for him. Got a little bit too many tricks in his bag, and I think that Canelo, I think that the guy is just a big target for Canelo. But I can see, I'm sorry, that was my door. I can see both guys. Both guys have a shot at winning the fight.
All right. Well, man, I can't wait. I might be out there for that one, but I'm thinking that I'll be back on the road covering these fights 2021 when things are a little bit more safe and sound and everything like that. Hopefully I'll be covering one of your guys fights soon as well too, so we can chop it up a little bit more, hang out in person. So man, I thank you so much, Brad, for coming on in and talking with me today, man. And I think that pretty much that's gonna be that's all I need, man. Thank you so much for your time and everything like that. Now, where can the people find you at, man? Because I know you have the outlet that you do write for, and you do give the analysts and you give out the picks and things like that. Where can they find that at?
On Boxing Scene, boxingscene.com. And oh, you're talking about the
Yeah, because
okay,
I
I
see
know
your
what you're
record, man.
no, it's a website. I write a mailbag. I write a weekly mailbag for Boxing Scene, but there's a I got a website called boxingpick.com.
Okay, you guys go to boxingpick.com. This man will get you right. You know how I got you guys on all the regular sports. This man will take care of you on the boxing angle. I just throw my little bets out there for the boxing stuff, but I can't compare to his record. I saw your record. I said, damn, they would hate him at the William Hill.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
Man, well, till we meet again, brother. Hopefully, we'll be talking in a few months. I'll be following your moves and things like that, and following your up and coming boxers as well too.
Thank you. Appreciate you, my man.
All right, man. That's it. That's another episode of Big Wave Boxing, and I am gone. Thank you, brother.
Big event tonight in Arlington, Texas, over at AT&T Stadium, aka Jerry's World. We have the world champion IBF and WBC Errol the True Spence going at it with Danny Swift Garcia, former 140 lineal champion and former welterweight WBC champion as well. So tonight we have ourselves some really great matchups, and in the co-main event, right before the main event, is going to be Francisco Chia Santana going against the Pride of Riverside, the Riverside Rocky himself, Josito Lopez. And Josito Lopez is coming in as the heavy favorite. But what we're going to do here tonight is we're going to take Chia Santana with the plus 290. And also we're going to go ahead and take the plus 700 with the idea that it could be a KO, a KO, a TKO, or a DQ on the side of Chia Santana. So that's going to yield us a plus 700. Also, this fight should probably go over, if anything, but we're trying to see if it'll go under tonight, and hopefully Chia Santana goes ahead and gets the victory. All right, into the main event. This is a tough one to call because both fighters are great, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and play the over 10.5 here. This is a strong bet in my opinion, and I feel like we can go ahead and cash this bad boy out. I think this does go to the cards, and that's why I'm going to go ahead and swing for the fences tonight with Danny Garcia winning by either decision or technical decision with the plus 550 tonight. So there it is. Those are my bets for the big event in Arlington tonight. Probably the biggest PBC fight of the year, and that's going to be Spence versus Garcia for the IBF and WBC 147 welterweight titles. And thank you for watching Big Wave Boxing.
This is a PrimeWave Media production.